Hi everyone, welcome back to Elysium Experiments. Today's experiment was inspired because I found this amazing website called smarthistory.org. This site was started by two art historians, Dr. Beth Harris and Dr. Steven Zucker. They've created a ton of free articles and videos, including several about works in the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna, where I did my last experiment. So I thought it would be really nice if you could hear the audio from these videos when you're standing next to the paintings themselves in the museum. In other words, I wanted to try to make an AR audio guide experience using the fantastic content from smarthistory.org. And to make it a true guided tour, I would also want to show visitors the path between each painting. So, let's get started. I began by creating a new project and scene in Elysium. Then I'm going to jump right into AR to start building my scene. Once I've captured my first marker, I need to make sure to activate it. If I look at the ground, I can see that the node perimeter is blue or inactive. So I walk closer to the marker and make sure that the perimeter is now green, which tells me that the node is active. This is important because when I create my next marker, it'll automatically connect it to the last active node. Elysium uses these node connections to correctly and efficiently load content as the visitors move through the scene. If I did it right, I'll see a dotted line on the ground connecting the two nodes. This line won't be shown to the visitor, it's just there to help me build. Likewise, the blue circles on the marker are also there to help me. They tell me that Elysium found a plane behind my marker, which really improves the positioning accuracy, especially over these kinds of distances. Now that I have my nodes set up, I need to add the audio content. I go back to my first marker and open my asset collection, where I've already uploaded the audio content ripped from the Smart History videos, with the author's permission, of course. As soon as I place the audio asset, it shows up as a speaker gizmo and starts playing the audio. This allows me to adjust the volume by selecting the gizmo and resizing it.
We're in the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna, and we're looking
The size of the gizmo also determines the distance that the audio will reach, so it's important to walk away from the audio source and make sure it's still audible from a few meters away. This way, I can be sure visitors will hear it as they approach the painting from a distance. I'm also going to add an image asset to the scene next to the painting to let visitors know that this painting has audio content and where it came from. For the arrows that guide visitors between paintings, I'm going to use PolyPizza, the public asset library built into Elysium, to find a simple arrow and copy it into my library. Once I add it to my library, I'll be able to find it in my asset browser when I go to add an object. I've repeated the steps from the first node for the 3 other paintings, and now I'm ready to test the scene as a visitor.
We're in the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna, and we're looking at Jan Vermeer's The Art of Painting, which is a painting of a painter painting a painting.
It is indeed. And he's painting a model who he's going to transform into the muse of history. So she is Cleo. We can identify her by what she holds, the trumpet in the book, and also the laurel leaves on her head. So she's an allegorical figure. We might think about the Statue of Liberty, for example.
So that idea of painting's power to transform is actually central to this image.
Doesn't it feel as though we have a privilege?
So there's a kind of incredible intimacy here. They are present, they are watching. Actually, they're not quite present. The artist has separated them only by that small fissure in the earth.
And so they would have seen themselves at the crucifixion. In that way, paintings like this were aids in prayer, so that you could move from the painting to your own mental image of the crucifixion And imagine what this moment is.
One of the laws is to not render people, not to render the fish below the sea, not to render the birds in the sky. The idea that the artist tries to take on the role of God, perhaps, by trying to create.
Thou shalt not create graven images might be how most people know that commandment. Gossart is living right at the time that the Protestant Reformation begins, and one of the things that Luther's followers talk about is that attention to detail that we see also in her clothing, which is really fabulous. I mean, this is like a whole fashion statement here.
This is the kind of clothing that might have been worn in the Saxon court in the 15th century. In fact, some scholars suggest that this might be a specific princess.
That's where Hannah worked, in the Saxon court in Wittenberg.
So here he's rendered this really interesting contrast between the violence and it's beautiful.
So, with a little preparation and a few hours at the museum, I was able to bring the rich art history content from smarthistory.org into the museum and publish it on Elysium as a guided augmented reality audio tour. I hope you've enjoyed this experiment, and please leave your thoughts, inspirations, and questions in the comments. See you next time!